moment in time. Currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't have to say anything.
But I haven't made off.
You don't mention one question from the line. Court, you can give some negative evidence.
But I haven't made off, so...
Be arrested for confidential investigation.
It's a £20 coin.
Never seen them in my life.
So it's from the Royal Mint, so the same place that all legal tender comes from.
Have you got any other means of payment at the minute?
I don't know. Right. Can I ask why you didn't tell me before you started recording?
So when we go to any incident, our tour of duty and our police protocol is to video every incident we go to achieve the best evidence.
But you've got to notify the person at the first available opportunity.
No, we don't.
You do.
Have you got that from somewhere? Have you read that up somewhere? Or?
Yes, your policy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at the minute, we're obviously videoing everything because we've been called to an incident. Immediate response where there's some ongoing issue with payment, whether it's a domestic...
999?
Well, that's what's coming as, yeah.
Well,
we just didn't know what was happening. There was an altercation in the shop, so we've arrived on that instance. Are you going to give me your name?
I'm not, no.
Right, okay. Because is there a reason for that?
Because it's a civil matter, and it's not something that the police can get involved in.
To a degree, you're right. It is a civil matter. We can deal with it a different way, but obviously, ultimately, you haven't paid for your fuel.
From the very start, the officer demonstrates that she is ill-prepared to handle the situation. The auditor quickly spots her body-worn camera and questions why its use was not disclosed. The rules on this are unambiguous. Officers are required to inform the public that they are being recorded at the earliest opportunity. Rather than acknowledging this obligation, she outright denies that such a rule exists. Her conduct then deteriorates further when she demands the auditor's name, despite the fact that no criminal issue is involved. The matter is purely civil, relating to a disagreement between...
But they're not accepting that money.
But that's up to them to accept it. If they decline...
They've obviously run the post office and they've declined that. Ultimately, it's a civil issue, but if you're not willing to give us your details, then how do we know that you're going to resolve the civil issue at a later date? If you're happy to give us your details, then we can look at the civil issue at a later date.
But that's a civil issue. That's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But we don't know your details, do we? So you could technically escape from here and never come back and never deal with that issue. Then you'd be circulated as wanted for that, won't you, for making off without payment?
That's not a police issue at the minute.
It is.
It's
it is a police issue because you've not paid for fuel. So there's still an offence there of that you've not paid for your fuel.
But I have paid. I've gave them.
But you've gave them this coin, yeah, which ultimately they've spoke to the post office and they've decided that it's not a reasonable amount of payment for your fuel. So at the minute we're sort of hands are tied, agree with you on a certain instance of that, but we still need a solution today, whether we take your details and we deal with it at a later date.
The officer openly acknowledges that the matter is civil, yet immediately attempts to manufacture authority to demand identification under the excuse of sorting it out later. That is not a legitimate use of police power. Where there is no reasonable suspicion of an offense, there is no lawful basis to compel personal details. A private payment disagreement cannot be transformed into a police-enforced ID check simply because the retailer is dissatisfied. Her suggestion that the individual could be circulated as wanted was nothing more than a hollow threat. Wanted markers exist for criminal cases, suspects, warrants, or failures to appear, not for civil contract disputes. Using the threat of criminal labeling to force compliance is an abuse of authority, and in itself, an admission that she lacked any...
So basically, he's trying to pay with this. They've run the post office and said that it doesn't really exist, you can't pay with that. He obviously won't give us our details. I've explained to him to a degree it's a civil matter, however, if he does make off and he doesn't give us our details, we're struggling for any sort of civil issue at a later date. Any details for making off without payment, So I've explained if he does give us his details and we know where he is and we can contact him at a later date, hopefully this issue can get resolved. Now he's obviously not really... Can't want him to do that at the minute.
Because it's a civil issue and it's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But you're still going to make off, aren't you? Technically without payment, but if we can get your details...
But I have paid.
But you haven't...
And it is their policy to accept the £20 coin.
Has he paid?
No, he hasn't.
Right, if you haven't paid, and if you walk out this door now...
They've still got the money though.
Just let me finish. If you walk out that door now, you are liable for an arrest because we don't have your details.
But you don't need them.
Well, I do
because it's a civil issue.
But it's not, because a make off without payment is then a police matter.
The arrival of the second officer immediately escalates the situation in the worst possible way, with an instant threat of arrest. That response is completely unjustified. The auditor remained inside the premises, made no attempt to leave, and was openly contesting the method of payment. There can be no allegation of making off without payment when the person has not left and has shown no intent to avoid paying. The weakness of the threat is further exposed by the fact that the auditor had already attempted to pay using a £20 Royal Mint coin, which the cashier refused to accept. That fact alone undermines any suggestion of deliberate non-payment.
So if you walk out that
No,
door
it's
now,
not.
it is. If you walk out that door now, you'll be getting arrested for make off without payment.
But there is an agreement with BP that
Is there,
the
any other
coin can be
way, is
used.
there any other way that you can pay? Because we're going to sit here for hours arguing. I've been quite respectful to you. I appreciate you have to a degree, and I appreciate that from yourself. You haven't been argumentative with me, and I appreciate that you've been a normal human being.
No,
However, we need
I don't
a
intend to.
solution.
No.
I
If
appreciate
you
that.
can pay for the fuel now by other means, then that's fair enough. It'll be the end of the matter.
Or if you can give us your details and we can deal with it at a slower time, we can offer you that. But if you're not willing to do either any, then we're struggling with what we have left to do.
Because we can't let you walk out that door without paying. But
I don't know where you live, you might not even be from around here, I'm not saying you are, but you know what I mean, we have people where they'll make off and then they won't give us our details and then we're going to struggle. I'm still going to have that £20 of fuel, unfortunately, with this BP garage outstanding.
Which car is it?
But I have paid for the fuel.
But you haven't paid for the fuel. Which one?
Right, we're going round in circles, aren't we?
We are, unfortunately, yeah. We've agreed, we've reasoned with you now, and we've tried to say that if you give us your details, tell you where you live, we'll deal with it slow time. However, you then leave, you don't have your details, you don't know where you live, you could live in London for all we know, and then there's still this making off without payment because they will not accept this as payment.
But I don't have to identify for a civil issue.
It technically isn't a civil issue though, is it, when you leave and you don't pay? You haven't paid for your fuel. We've got the payment here, which isn't acceptable, so really you haven't paid at the minute.
The entire interaction is built on an assumption that simply was not true. The officers repeatedly warned about the auditor leaving as if he were on the verge of walking out without paying, yet that situation never occurred. He remained inside the store, continued to engage, and had already attempted to settle the payment using a Royal Mint coin. The officers were not responding to what was actually happening, but to a hypothetical scenario they had constructed. That is not the application of law, it is speculation. Their claim that his identity could not be established without forcing him to produce ID is equally flawed. His vehicle and number plate were clearly outside.
Well, I have, because I've handed the coin over. Right. So I haven't got that in my possession, and I've contacted BP head office before coming here.
Right, and was that today then, or?
No.
So when was that then? So you've contacted BP head office before you've come in?
Correct.
Right, so did you contact them today, or was it yesterday, or last week, or?
It's not up to me to say that.
How's it money?
Do you understand what the £20 coin is?
No, that's why I'm confused.
Well, why are you threatening me for arrest then, if you don't know?
Because it's not money.
It is.
Right. Well, agree to disagree.
You don't know that. It is. It's legal tender, the same as a £20 note and a £10 note.
Right, and who did you speak to from the BP garage, the manager?
It's a Royal Mint who issued that £20 coin.
Right. Okay.
So it's the same money as any other money.
If you get someone on the phone to me who you've spoken to earlier, then we could kind of end the matter here, can't we?
But if it's a civil issue, I don't need to assist you.
At the minute we don't know it's a civil matter.
But I don't need to assist you in a civil issue.
But you do, because it then turns into a police matter because we don't know that.
The auditor had already gone beyond what was required by explaining that BP themselves had confirmed the coin was valid. That should have brought the matter to a close. Instead, the officer turned it into a conditional demand, insisting he personally contact them or face police involvement. That approach is indefensible. He was under no legal obligation to assist her in that manner, and declining to do so does not somehow transform the situation into a criminal offense. The duty of the police is to evaluate the facts and apply the law, not to shift the burden onto a member of the public.
But if it's a civil agreement,
you're running the risk of being arrested because you haven't given us details, and you're going to walk out that door, and it's technically a failure to pay.
But then it'll be a civil. But then I'll sue you.
Well, that's fine. If you want to sue us, that's fine.
Unlawful arrest.
Like I said, we've been honest with you in terms of which way we can go. The staff here have been very honest. Okay, and all I'm saying is, if you get the person on the phone who you spoke to earlier with the agreement, then that could be the end of the matter. But as far as I do, then technically, if you walk out the door, it's going to be a make without payment.
He's already accepted to take it.
You haven't accepted to take it. No, haven't accepted to take it. You walk out that door, becomes a criminal matter, and you get arrested for make off without payment.
You give us your details.
You're refusing to give us your details, and we don't know that vehicle is yours because you're not.
But I've told you.
Is it urgent?
That He said he would take the coin.
But he isn't now, is
if
he?
I take my mask off.
Right, well I wasn't here for that, so we have no witnesses, unfortunately, other than you and him. Right now I can't view that.
Body camera.
But right now I can't view that. At the end of the day, you've come in, you've paid for you've got your fuel, you've come in. This isn't a payable matter. Once you leave, we've offered you to give us your details and deal with it that way. For all I know, that vehicle could register somebody else and lived in London. And how are we ever going to trace you?
But I don't need to assist you.
Once you leave this situation, it is making off without payment. I can't be any more reasonable with you and give you some sort of options that we can go.
But I don't need to assist you.
Are you offering to give
Because you're
staff,
wrong.
not myself, not my colleague, the staff your name and contact number?
No.
Right, so we have one option, but two will lock you up then.
Well, I've got a civil agreement in the background.
You can prove that at court.
I've got
prove that at court.
That's fine, you can prove that at court.
Right, well this moment in time, you're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't have to say anything,
but I haven't made off.
We don't mention one question from the letter line court. Anything you do is maybe give evidence.
But I haven't made off though.
For your arrest as prompted in fact investigation. Okay?
But I haven't made off.
You're under caution as well.
I do the fact you failed to provide details.
But I haven't made off.
Failed to provide details, yeah.
But I haven't made off.
Right, are we going to go calmly? We're going to go quietly?
We would go calmly all the time.
Okay, well, do you want to walk with us then?
Of course.
Thank you. Just come with me, sir, please. Have you got anything in your pockets that's going to harm me or you? Just take them out. It's just a question we ask everybody.
Can we just take your camera off as well, please?